Waiver Wire Winners heading into Week 10. These are players rostered in under 50% of ESPN leagues to consider adding. In Jeff Wilson's first game in Miami, he had 51 rushing yards, 3 catches, and he took one for a touchdown. He was more efficient on the ground. He had more touches. He could take over that job. Donovan Peoples-Jones is coming off of a bye, but 4 out of 5 of his last games, he's had 70-plus receiving yards. 5 weeks above 11 fantasy points. He's a score away from having a big week. He is the clear wide receiver 2 in Cleveland. Terrace Marshall's had 15 targets across the last 2 games played. He's shown us signs of upside with 87 receiving yards in Week 8, and he scored in Week 9. 3 straight games with a touchdown for Mecole Hardman, 28 and 19.9 fantasy points in his last 2 games played. He's coming off of a 9-target week. Kadarius Toney's role might grow, but this guy's been awesome. Wan'Dale Robinson is another guy coming off of a bye. They had a down week, the Giants, last time they played, but he scored in his first ever game, Week 6, and then he had 8 targets in Week 7. I think he has a true chance to lead the Giants in targets. 6-plus targets for Michael Gallup in 2 out of 3 of his last games. He had 49 receiving yards in his last outing. He's getting healthier and healthier. He should be the wide receiver 2 for the Cowboys. Cade New Gronk Aden has had at least 5 targets, 3 straight games from Tom Brady. 2 out of 3 of his last games, he's had 60-plus receiving yards. He scored a touchdown in Week 9 and scored a season-high 17.8 fantasy points last week. Cole Kmet is actually gaining some momentum. He's had 3 touchdowns across the last 2 games played, 5 for 41 on 6 targets with 2 touchdowns this past week. They were creative with Cole Kmet. He rushed the ball twice. Fields also saw a season-high in passing attempts, which is a good sign for this offense. Greg Dulcich, coming off of a bye. Through 3 NFL games, he's had 11-plus fantasy points in all, 3, 9, and 5 targets the last 3 games. He scored in his first game, 87 receiving yards in Week 8. Rashad White had 1 less carry than Leonard Fournette in Week 9, 11 total touches, at least 3 receptions in 5 out of 6 of his last games played. Good handcuff, but he's actually pretty involved in this offense. Maybe a bit of a gamble here, but Odell Beckham Jr. is expected to be cleared to practice soon after that ACL tear he had in the Super Bowl. Teams like the Packers, Rams, Cowboys, and Giants might be interested. After his bye last season, weeks 12 through 17, he averaged 13.3 fantasy points. Then last, we've seen rookie wide receivers take off in the second half of their season. I feel like Jameson Williams, Treylon Burks, and Jahan Dotson are 3 guys to think about stashing who bring some fantasy football upside.